June means school is out, summer school and summer camps are underway, and the district is finalizing a budget for the upcoming school year. This is Brad Welly, Superintendent of Green Valley Schools, pleased to lay out our outline for a budget for the upcoming school year. Our goal is to create a budget that addresses the priorities of our strategic plan and adequately provide for the needs of the district with an eye on sustainability beyond the year ahead. This budget proposal reflects what we know at this time. The state legislature has passed a budget for upcoming school year that fully funds the state's school funding formula. However, the state adequacy target, or SAT, will remain flat at $6,375. The state legislature is committed to fully funding transportation at 75% reimbursement for the second year in a row. We've assumed an increase in local property tax revenues capped at 5% growth for our district per law. And due to conservative budgeting in past years and the careful monitoring of spending by this and past boards, the district's in a position to make modest gains in pay for all employees. Variations in pay increases are the result of comparisons to similar districts and roles throughout the Kansas City metro. Our budget priorities are to maintain class sizes within the district standards, address the increasing costs of meeting academic and behavioral needs of students, and providing competitive pay for all team members. Planning our budget is an ongoing process that begins in the fall and continues until finalized in June. This video and making this available to our broader community is an important part of that process. We drive 534,000 miles transporting students to and from school each school year, covering our 38.87 square miles. We have 27% of our students are on free and reduced lunch, which is one of the highest rates that we've had in recent years, but we are also still considered to be a low poverty school district. And then up on the right side, it shows the breakdown of our 685 team members, which is our characterization of our employees. And in the lower right section, the class of 2023, we were pleased to have 45.3% of them eligible for A+ program, which basically qualifies them for free community college education. Our district has a long tradition of growth of our student enrollment. The growth trend has been slowing over the past 10 years. We've grown by 606 students in the past 10 years, but just in the last 5 years, that total is 144 of those 606. So you can see from the bar graph how the trend has slowed over time. This slowing does impact the funding we get from the state, because this, along with the student attendance rates in our actually attending school, that determines the amount of funding we get from the state. So those are important variables in considering increased costs over time with flat funding at the state level. These are some of the school districts we compare ourselves with throughout the district. The top 3 listed are larger districts we compete with for teachers, and the bottom are a list of those districts that are closer to size with us. We have the lowest expenditure per pupil rate on the table for the comparisons here. We have the second lowest tax levy rate for the list that for comparison, and we consistently have the lowest tax levy rate among school districts in Jackson County. We also have the second lowest assessed valuation per student for the districts that are shown. We are proposing allocating $7,800 per team member for their medical, disability, and life insurance for the second year in a row. The amount paid shown in orange reflects our overage payments that we make over the last years. These are costs above and beyond the typical coverage. We are part of a self-insured pool with area school districts, which helps us be competitive when we are putting out for our medical coverages. We are pleased to be able to put forward pay increases for our employees for the upcoming school year. On the certified staff side, we are proposing a budget of $606,000 of additional funding. This would raise our base teacher salary up to $40,000 to make us a little more competitive with neighboring school districts. We're proposing non-certified staff increases of various amounts depending on the job category to make each more competitive, again, within the area. We would be adding $228,000 to the administration salary schedule. This would be the first across the board money added to that salary schedule in the more than 10 years since that salary schedule was created. Correcting a portion of our teacher salary schedule that does not currently extend to step 30 or year 30, and increasing substitute teacher pay from $100 a day to $120 a day are two other priorities that we're able to address with this proposed budget. All in, the total pay increases represent $1.6 million of increased costs. The budget proposal reflects the addition of 9 new positions for the upcoming school year, mostly to support meeting the needs of individual students. Class sizes will be positively impacted through this proposed budget, especially at Prairie Branch, where we are adding a kindergarten teaching position and a second grade teaching position for the upcoming school year. Our preliminary proposed budget is a $54,203,723 budget. This reflects a deficit budget of $656,726 at this time. However, there are some revenues numbers that we do not have until later in the summer. So, for example, every year we have revenues for new construction in the area that ranges anywhere from $150,000 in new money all the way up to $1.5 million in new money a year ago. We don't think we're going to hit 1.5 million again, but because from year to year that varies so much, this year we have put that down as a zero at this time. It will not be zero, probably won't be 1.5 million, but we think it'll be much closer to $656,000. And then I want to draw your attention to the two graphs on the right side. It shows the breakdown of our revenues. 6% is federal funding, 49% is from our state, and the local funding makes up 44%. And those are based on our local assessed valuation or local property taxes. On the expenditure side, salaries and benefits combined make up 83% of our total expenditures in this proposed budget. Anything at 80% or higher just shows that we have that we're full throttle applying the maximum capacity of our budgeting abilities towards salaries and benefits. There are certainly more that we think that we could be doing as a district in the area of services and supplies, but we've really made salaries and benefits a priority given our resources at this time. Our target is to have a fund balance of at least 24% in our operating fund on June 30th. This ensures we have the funds to make payroll through the rest of the calendar year. We do not specifically budget a fund balance for the June of the following year, but we do project that without other adjustments, we would fall below 24% if all factors remain exactly the same. So that's the asterisk number you see there, the 21.9%. Even with the budget as proposed, we do not expect to drop below 24% for the upcoming school year. However, there would be other changes that we would make in the spring to ensure that we did not drop below 24%. On the debt service fund, I want to draw your attention to the right half of the screen first, because the total revenues of $8.9 million that's shown here, that is what the $1.70 tax levy rate for our debt service. That's what that would generate, is $8.9 million. And then below is our scheduled payments of $5.8 million to pay off the debt that we have incurred on our recent bond projects to add on to schools and do other capital improvements throughout the school district. Now, that being said, voters in April generously approved our $32 million bond issue. Those bonds will all be issued within this next budget year. So that will dramatically change the revenues of $8.9 million by $32 million. And it will also begin to have an impact on our expenditures. So this will be amended along the way by the school board to reflect the exercise of those $32 million in bonds. And then shifting to the left side of the screen, this reflects the $17 million in revenues for the year that's just coming to an end, reflects roughly $8 million in bonds that were refunded or refinanced for the series that came up for review this previous year. So The current year's budget that's ending a year ago looked more like the right side, but again, because we refinanced $8 million, then that had an impact on both revenues and expenditures for the slide that you see. Challenges ahead, we continue to be impacted by labor shortages, while we're also working to ensure competitive pay for all of our employees compared to area metro districts. We're also facing increased costs of health benefits for our team members. It's not getting any cheaper to provide medical benefits, although we are pleased that we are able to keep our rates pretty similar in the budget for the upcoming school year. We're also faced with meeting the increased costs of the academic and behavioral needs of our students. ESSER funding, or our federal funding, expires after this upcoming school year. So we have about $800,000 built into the budget. It'll be the last of our federal ESSER funds from the pandemic relief. So a year from now, when we're planning the budget for fiscal year 25, it will be the first time that there will be no ESSER funds, and that reflects a loss of $800,000. We also run the risk of less than full funding of our transportation reimbursement, which could result in a loss of an estimated $563,000. That's how much less we earned the last time transportation was not fully funded by the state just 2 years ago. I would predict that the state will fully fund transportation again into fiscal year 25, but that's up to the legislature ultimately to decide what they're going to do there. And then the potential reduction in average daily attendance, or ADA, due to declining enrollment and student attendance could have an estimated loss of $200,000 budget implication. So not too worried about these. All three of these last things we can overcome a year from now, but in overcoming them with growth of new revenues would prevent us from adding many teaching positions into fiscal year 25. It would also prevent us from having any sizable pay increases to achieve our goal of becoming more competitive within the metro. We want to hear from you. What questions do you have? Other suggestions or concerns? Email us at budget@gvr5.net. If you give us your name and your phone number, we'd be happy to call you or respond to your email. And please give us your questions or other input by June 12th, if possible. It makes it easier for us to take that input and help us prepare our final presentation for the budget to the board on June 29th at 6 o'clock p.m. Thank you very much.